So Putin appears to have been emboldened by some of the recent events, some of the not failures, but not quite achieving the objectives, and he's beginning to shout his mat off. He's having a go at the West. He's sort of beating his chest. Is this tactics, or does he really feel he's in a strong position?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of all of that. The 17th of March, I think, is when President Putin is up for re-election. Now, most people think that's a foregone conclusion, but he will not want to risk any public outcry. And if he does mobilise to create more soldiers, which most people believe he needs, that could open a Pandora's box of trouble for him. So he said no. He also thinks that the West threw everything at him and nothing's really moved over the summer. So he has been taking the mickey a bit out of the West. He also knows that America is not, Congress is blocking funding for the next support, and the EU, as I think 61 billion of money. Hungary is blocking that as well. Whereas on the contrast, you've had President Zelensky saying he's going to need to mobilise another 500,000 soldiers, which is no great surprise, to be honest. But how well will that go down in Ukraine? You know, there are reports from both Russia and Ukraine about people trying to avoid the draft. That's quite normal. But 500,000 more is a significant number of people to get involved. And I think part of it, as you explained, the spring offensive didn't materialise. The West is now going, if you couldn't do it last year, what's going to have to change for you to make progress this year? And of course, there's lots of conflicting priorities in the West, not least of which 70% of Americans at a recent poll said they did not support sending more money to Zelensky. And of course, ultimately, we live in a democracy. And so I've no doubt that the West will continue to support President Zelensky. But the harsh realities of it are, what does it take to turn the dial in favour of Ukraine? Because whatever was given last year didn't turn the dial. Putin's almost certainly better prepared defensively this year than he was last year, and therefore it will take a Herculean effort to do any sort of breakthrough. So it looks like we're heading for a sort of frozen conflict with President Zelensky still determined not to stop. But the international community eventually is going to start going, hang on a minute, if you keep fueling this fight, more people are going to die, but is the front line going to move at all? And is there an opportunity here to transition to some peaceful end, which won't suit either side, but actually could draw the war to a close? And the West can actually provide a lot of support to Zelensky, first of all, in terms of security guarantees to make sure Russia doesn't move any further, and secondly, to provide financial support, which we discussed before, the huge rebuilding cost that might result from this conflict.